My husband Michael was on his way home from work, and his habit was to stop at a convenience store and get a Snapple or Fruitopia for the drive home. And just like any other day, I'd be sitting in my nurse's uniform waiting on the couch for his call telling me I'm on my way home.
The person that was lost was my spouse, my wife, Sharon Wiggs. She was a stalking victim.
In 1986, December 21st, 1986, my sister Nancy was waiting for a bus at about 6:30 p.m. at 6th and Pennsylvania, Southeast Washington, right on Capitol Hill. And from what we're able to reconstruct, a car pulled up to her and asked her for directions. And she stepped forward, and she was wearing a shoulder bag diagonally across her chest. And they grabbed her shoulder bag and they sped off. And she was thrown and landed more or less on her head. And within, a day after that or so, we concluded that she was brain dead.
How I lost my brother. His name was David Thomas. We called him Corny for short. So he was murdered in Baltimore City. It was 2007, January 22nd, 2007.
Shortly before I took my job, my cousin was killed in Columbia, Maryland. He was at a gas station and got into an argument with somebody else who was filling up their car. That person went home, got a gun, came back, shot and killed him.
While she was taking a shower in that back room that night, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, we don't know exactly. So when she comes out of the bathroom, of course she's naked, she screams. Wouldn't you? I mean, a total stranger got in. You wonder how the heck did you get in here? Everything went wrong for Shannon that night. Everything.
I lost a step-nephew, which was a police officer by murder through a domestic violence case. I lost a stepmother and stepsister through a murder that my father committed. After he murdered them, he came to my house and he shared with me what had happened. And I took him to the police station and gave testimony to a detective, and they detained my father. And then after detainment of him, it was requested to me to go back to the house to identify the bodies.
So when Michael died, okay, we went from, he's an engineer, big salary, I'm a nurse, big salary. So we had a really comfortable life. We went from that to a single parent trying to get two sons through high school and one through college.
When it happens so suddenly like that, I think what you do is you spend a lot of time going over the last conversation, the last message on the, in those days we had answering machines, the last message on the answering machine, everything that was the last of anything, because there's no warning. It's not like 2 weeks in hospice where you're saying goodbye after a long illness. So I would say mainly shock, and then just sorrow, lots and lots and lots of crying, lots of crying.
I always said I don't know how people deal with it, when they lose somebody that close. And I'm still learning how you deal with it. Like, it's literally you get up and you decide to take a breath. Like, no matter how hard it hurts, you get up and you go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth.
I always get calls, can you come? See, can you help us find out how so-and-so mom or so sister, sometimes the sibling is the caretaker over other siblings, and they need to know who's going to help them bury their sister or brother who got slain. But there's no doubt, if you don't have a monetary problem, all hands are on board, on deck for you.
It's hard to answer what kind of help we needed that we didn't receive, because it was the first time we were ever going through anything like that.
The one problem with being a crime victim is there is not enough promotion of what services actually are available. What people are to expect. There's no training lesson to deal with someone being ripped away from you. When family members are affected by financial situations, do they know that there might be some type of resource that can help pay for a funeral? Do they know that there's some type of resource that may help them get adjusted because they just went from a 2-income family to 1? Do they know that they need to be told that they have to pay their bills? These things, even psychological help or counseling or therapy, some of those things just have to be put out there, and it's not enough information promotion done.
We got gambling. Take 1% of the proceeds from the gambling. They're going to be out of the state of Maryland and give to these families.
It happens to them. You've got to be there with support services. And so many of these people, I have met murder victims families that can't even pay for their funeral. Can you imagine? And let alone any services or support systems that can be there for them. And this has got to change in this country. I mean, what I'd love to do is get rid of all this crime and get the things set up right so these didn't happen so much. But given where we are now, we need to have the support systems.